C e raised to st, that actual value of c doesn't matter much. So c will tell you the position, what the signal xt as c e raised to st. Its c is immaterial because that is telling you initial position. So we can take it to be 1. So now we take a simple circuit. 1 1. So output is half. So if input is e raised to st, output is half e raised to st. So I'm trying my level best to explain. Input, everything is hypothetical. Input e raised to st, output half e raised to st. So if input is depending upon S, input nature will change. If S is 0, input is constant. If S, what is S? S is sigma plus j omega. If omega is 0, then sigma is either positive or negative. If sigma positive, it is increasing signal. Sigma negative, it is decreasing signal. So for what? Now here what we get? Here the output is independent of means the HS, it is half. HS is half. So HS is independent of S. So whatever is the input for resistive circuit, the ratio will always be half. Ratio is independent of the type of the input. Now let's make a simpler change, this circuit. So I am trying my level best. I hope that you need to think. Reading something is of no use. You have to think from within. So for this, what is the transfer function? HS we have computed earlier. 1 upon S plus 1 plus 1 upon S. 1 upon S, it is 1 upon S upon 1 upon S plus 1, multiplying both by S. So HS is 1 upon S plus 1. So input is e raised to st, output is 1 upon S plus 1 e raised to st. So what does it mean now? Listen very carefully. If S is 0, what it will indicate? If S is 0, in that case the ratio would be 1. The ratio would be 1, and S is 0 means a stationary signal. So whatever is input, the capacitor will charge to that level and the same will appear at the output. It is an extreme case. Now, if S is a thing which is sigma plus j omega, sigma 0 and some value of omega. So in that case, ST becomes e raised to j omega. Input, if sigma part is 0, input becomes e raised to j omega t. So if sigma is 0, means S is equal to j omega. So in that case, what is the output? So input is e raised to j omega t, output is 1 upon j omega plus 1 e raised to j omega t. So what is 1 upon j omega plus 1? What is 1 upon j omega plus 1? So that I will plot. I hope it takes some time, but surely you will understand. So it is 1 upon j omega plus 1 into e raised to j omega. What is e raised to j omega t? E raised to j omega t is a point rotating on unit circle with a speed omega. E raised to j omega t is a point rotating on unit circle with an angular frequency or angular speed of omega radians per second. It's rotating point. If just remember, everything is hypothetical. It's very interesting one. If a rotating point is applied as input, what will be the output? Output will also be something into e raised to omega t. So output will also be rotating point, but what rotating point? That depends upon 1 upon j omega plus 1. 1 upon j omega plus 1, nothing is to be put into denominator which includes j. So you add 1 upon, this is 1 plus j omega, multiply by 1 minus j omega at both places. So what it would be? So output is this into e raised to j omega. So that is 1 minus j omega upon 1 plus omega square. 1, this is minus plus j omega minus j omega, so minus j square minus 1, so 1 plus omega square. So this is 1 upon under root 1 plus omega square minus j into omega upon, sorry, not under root, 1 upon 1 plus j omega square minus j this into e raised to 0. What is this now? This is very important. So this tells us 1 upon 1 plus omega square minus j into omega upon 1 plus omega square. So what it is in the denominator we have got 1 plus omega square. In the denominator we have got 1 plus omega square. So again, if I write 1 upon 1 minus j omega upon 1 plus omega square, then this is this is 1 minus j omega. So something plus imaginary part. This I can write as in the polar form. How you can write a plus jb? A plus jb is under root a square plus b square angle tan inverse of b by a. So it is under root 1 plus omega square into tan inverse of omega upon 1, it is minus omega, so minus tan inverse of omega upon 1 plus omega square. So this is, so that is something which I am trying my level best to explain. I don't know to what extent it will be successful. So it is 1 upon under root 1 plus omega square tan inverse of omega into, this is angle, into e raised to j omega. So this tan inverse of omega minus. So what will happen? So let us say if omega is 1. If omega is 1, so what will happen? If omega is 1, this would be 1 upon root 2 tan inverse of 1, tan inverse of 1 minus tan inverse of 1 is angle minus pi by 4. So that point will be so what is input? Input is rotating. What is input? E raised to j omega t. It is rotating at an angular speed of omega. What is output? Output is this into e raised to omega t. E raised to j omega t. What is this? 1 upon root 2 angle minus pi by 4. So it is this point. So if input is this point, if input is a rotating point on a unit circle with an angular speed of omega and is at 1 0 at x-axis at t equal to 0, then output is also a rotating point at an angular speed omega. It rotates on a circle of radius 1 by root 2, and it is input rotates, output rotates. Only thing is that input was larger value, it is less, and it is phase shifted. What will happen then? If omega increases, if omega is very small, then this would be near to 1. So ratio would be near to 1. So point will move from here to here as omega is small. If omega increases, this denominator will increase and this tan inverse also increase. So what will happen? From here it will reduce. So from here it will move, further reduce an angle. So if omega is very large, in that case, for omega near 0, input is this, output is just starting from here, this. When omega increases, output, the point which rotates, the radius at which it rotates comes less and gets shifted. So it will be from here, then it will be here, then it will be here, then it will be here, very small. So this is something which is called as you will come to know later on, filtering action. I will explain again in simple terms. So for circuits which do have HS, what is HS? What was HS? HS was 1 upon S plus 1. For such circuits, if the complex exponential is such signal with sigma equal to 0 is rotating point. So what is complex exponential? Complex exponential can be rotating point, can be an increasing point or decreasing point, or can be increasing, decreasing and rotating. So it can move, it can rotate on a constant radius circle, it can move on either horizontal or in the oblique axis, or it can move helically, expanding or contracting manner. So for these different kinds of input signals, what would be the output? So output is of the same type. If input is rotating, output is rotating. If input is on constant circle, if input is increasing, decreasing, output also increase, decrease. If input is helical, output also helical, but the relationship is different. As S comes into picture here, and if we think of sigma equal to 0, when we take sigma equal to 0, it becomes an imaginary exponent. Remember, complex exponential with both sigma and omega non-zero is helix. Complex exponential with sigma 0 and omega non-zero is rotating point. Complex exponential with omega 0 and sigma non-zero, increasing or decreasing, decaying or expanding point. If both are 0, it's a stationary point. So if we talk of rotating point, in that case, if input is rotating point at angle at frequency omega on circle of radius 1, then output is also a rotating point with same frequency omega on a circle whose radius is a function of frequency. Listen very carefully. This one, so this is the radius, this is the angle. So what is changed? For a rotating point input, the output radius changes and the output position relative to input position also changes. And when we combine all these things, we further analyze for stable systems, unstable systems. So now the things are not so easy. I am trying my level. Otherwise, we can go through the book, write something in the form of a slide which you never understand. That is not the purpose. After this is second lecture in this sequence. After 2 more lectures, I am sure that you will be understanding something very slowly. I am sure that it will continue, and in 5-6 lectures, everything will be finished, and then the remaining simpler parts of all, so this will finish all the modules to a large extent. Remaining simpler parts of few modules we will discuss as exam preparation by spending 1 or 2 lectures for each module. So after 5 modules, the syllabus would be by and large completed, and in next 6 to 8 sessions, it will be what we can say exam preparation session. I hope we stop now and continue tomorrow. Thank you.